Even though 8 Democrats and the failure of Chuck Schumer's leadership gave Donald Trump a complete gift last night by caving and capitulating and bending the knee, do not let anyone lead you to believe that Trump's term isn't still collapsing. This is a man who is falling asleep in the Oval Office after suffering brutal election losses and is at his lowest popularity rating ever. Donald Trump is historically unpopular. We all have to remember that. And it is so bad at this point that even Fox is being forced to cover Donald Trump's real-time collapse. And they're not happy about it. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way and supporting our work. Now, before we get into how Fox had to broadcast Donald Trump's collapse, I want to start with someone who is actually hitting back against Trump and demonstrating what it looks like to lead this party, and that's Gavin Newsom right here.
They're not screwing around. They're consolidating power, and we were sitting there, and I think Donald Trump did not expect what Californians did. He thought we would try to win an argument by writing an op-ed, maybe express disdain and concern about the country.
Well, that is the Democratic Party of...
Yeah, of old. And I think that's the bottom line. And I think this moment, what happened on Tuesday, represents a new moment. Clarity, conviction, purpose, energy, on our toes, not on our heels, a resurgent Democratic Party. And it's a party that understands what's at stake for our democracy as we go into the 250th anniversary of our founding fathers. And I think that kind of momentum and direction is, I think, really going to enliven people in the next year.
Gavin Newsom is showing what it looks like to lead. We are no longer doing the strongly worded letters. We are no longer doing the op-eds, that maybe hold the little rally but just move on. I know Chuck Schumer's still doing that, and too often Hakeem Jeffries is as well. But the next generation of Democratic leadership, which is coming in 2026, and it is up to you to make sure that it does, that you're voting for Democrats who will not make Chuck Schumer the leader of our party in the Senate, that will push back against leadership and its constant capitulation, that does actually fight for something that isn't owned by corporate interests, the crypto lobby, the oil lobby, the Israel lobby. No, we need actual Democrats who are fighting back, and it's why Gavin Newsom, before we get into Fox, what Fox said, and it's important that we take a look at what Gavin Newsom said, went off on Chuck Schumer. Newsom slams pathetic shutdown deal as surrender. California Governor Gavin Newsom came out swinging against a Senate deal to end the government shutdown, deeming it a Democratic surrender. The longest government shutdown in U.S. history inched closer to a resolution after a highly anticipated late-night Senate meeting on Sunday, but not all Democrats are happy. The Senate voted 60-40 on Sunday evening after a group of 8 Democrats joined Republicans to reopen the government through a stopgap funding bill that runs until January 30th. While the compromise will fund most federal agencies through January, the deal does not guarantee the extension of health insurance subsidies, which are set to expire at the end of the year. Instead, Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune committed to holding a separate vote on legislation to extend the subsidies by the second week of December after the government reopens. America deserves better, Newsom wrote on X after the vote. The House now has to return and agree on the Senate's deal, which then has to be signed by Donald Trump to end the shutdown, which began on October 1st. The Sunday night vote was delayed by the arrival of the Texas Republican John Cornyn, who was the lone outstanding vote. Newsom and other prominent Democrats have spoken out against the agreement. Pathetic. This isn't a deal, it's a surrender. Don't bend the knee, Newsom's press office wrote on Sunday on X in response to Punchbowl News founder Jake Sherman, who had pointed out that the deal does absolutely zero on Obamacare. Newsom also cast doubt on whether Democrats would secure any meaningful action on the subsidies through the deal, reposting a Thursday clip of Speaker Mike Johnson declining to guarantee a date for a vote on the matter in the House. Just gonna leave this here, Newsom wrote on X. He later posted simply, pathetic. It is pathetic. This is pathetic. We have to point that out. We just have to. The only way we can rebuild our party is by taking away the parts that don't work. And that's Chuck Schumer. That is so many Democrats in the Senate who need to be primaried come 2028, 2030, whenever it is. For John Fetterman, 2028, it's looking, hopefully we can get it real close. Hopefully maybe we can speed up this process because I'm sick and tired of his shit. But this is what we need. We need leadership all across the country saying, hey, this is not the Democratic Party. Because if this is all people see, then they won't trust us anymore. That is why it is important for Gavin Newsom to speak up. It's why it's important for other Democrats to speak up. And it's why Gavin Newsom has been speaking up everywhere. So much so that Fox is now having to cover how he is putting an end to Donald Trump's term. Fox had to put on their YouTube channel, see it. Newsom goes to Texas to gloat about election win. Fox is having to cover the fact that Gavin Newsom keeps on winning and that he is taking that winning energy all across the country. And of course, that has made Donald Trump furious. This is the guy who responded to election night by first saying, okay, it seems like maybe we should talk about the fact that we've ruined this economy and maybe we should make some tweaks. Donald Trump on the first day, on Wednesday, said maybe we should talk about affordability. Now, of course, he completely changed his mind on that because he doesn't care about working people. There's no surprise there. But what did Donald Trump pivot to? Voter reform. He wants voter reform. He wants people to stop being able to vote. He attacked Gavin Newsom. He attacked Democrats in California. He was furious because Newsom humiliated him and blew up his redistricting plan because now that there's a bit of a test case, right? Gavin Newsom has proved the overwhelming popularity of fighting back against Donald Trump. We're seeing other Democrats do the same. It's going to happen in Virginia. It's happening right now in Maryland. We need New York. We need Illinois to catch up because Republicans are doing it in Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Indiana. So catch up. But Fox is being forced to cover the fact that Gavin Newsom is shellacking Donald Trump. Think about that. They have to cover it because it's such a big story. Their audience is seeing those clips of Gavin Newsom pointing out the weakness of Donald Trump. Gavin Newsom talking about how he wants to rig the midterms. And it has Trump losing his mind. This is the strategy for Democrats. Fight back. Take that fight everywhere. Make sure that it is covered by every outlet that you can get to cover it. That includes Fox. Go on Fox. Make fun of Donald Trump. Mock him. Mock his weakness. He's never been weaker. That is what we need out of our elected leaders right now. We didn't get it in the Senate, but we're going to need it from everybody else. This is a time for people to step up. And I encourage you to take note of those who do and those who don't. Gavin Newsom certainly is, and we saw more of it in this clip right here.
Is they've galvanized people of all political stripes, rural, urban, suburban, on the issue that defines so many problems in so many ways and so many days, and that's healthcare and the anxiety people are about to feel with 100 to 388% in California, up to 388% increase in premiums and costs. So I think they've been right, but Donald Trump needs to act like the president, not just be president. He needs to do the job.
So there are a lot of repercussions for this government shutdown. Obviously, air travel is a mess. And then SNAP benefits, food stamp benefits for 42 million Americans. As we sit here, the Trump administration is fighting a court order to tell them to pay out full SNAP benefits. Vice President J.D. Vance called the judge's ruling that the U.S. needs to pay, that the Trump administration needs to pay these SNAP benefits. He called the ruling absurd. He said the administration is, quote, not going to do it under the orders of a federal judge. Now, I know that's 5 million Californians receive SNAP benefits.
5.5, and the difference is in California, they were fully restored in my state through November. That said, they obviously have not been in the vast majority of states. But think about the state of mind of the vice president. How do they honestly, how do you square the circle when you go to a prayer breakfast? How do you square the circle? I mean, Old Testament, New Testament. Well, what's the fundamental thing that connects from John to Matthew to Proverbs? It's this notion of hunger, feeding the poor, the sick, the tired. It's not an option, it's central to advancing God's will. I mean, the fundamental point that we'd be using, because this is what it's about, and the federal government said it in the lawsuit, that they want to use it as a bargaining chip to end this shutdown. That's shameful. It's never happened in U.S. history. And I appreciate the governors, the 23 AGs that stepped up and sued. And we've won those lawsuits. Now we need to win the heart and mind of the President of the United States, not just the Vice President of the United States, to do the right damn thing.
So, Prop 50, whether that was part of a longer-term campaign for you, because obviously you have acknowledged you're thinking about running for president, possibly in 2028. You haven't made any decisions. You're focused on the midterms. I know everything you're about to say. But
Great.
whether or not the decision was influenced by that at all, what about the response to the decision? Has that changed your calculus at all? Because it does seem like Democrats see fight in you, and a lot of them seem to be, at least the ones we just saw upstairs in Texas, like the fight. I mean, Congressman Al Green introduced you as a future president of the United States.
It's very generous words. Look, with humility, let me say two things. I disagree marginally with the premise of your question. This is the Election Rigging Response Act. This was not a fight we chose. This is a fight we felt was important to fight. Proposition 50 was never on the docket. It was not part of the agenda. For me, though, it goes back further. It goes back to the federalization of the National Guard. And I want to remind folks, it's not 200 or 300. In California, it was 4,000 National Guard were federalized. 700 active duty Marines were not sent overseas. They were sent to the second largest city in the United States of America. We kicked off the campaign, and Greg Bovino came out, and Border Patrol and tactical units at the Democracy Center to quite literally intimidate people from walking in. With the clarity, the understanding, the sort of the fundamental visceral understanding of this moment became crystal clear in June. And so this is an extension of that. And I think more and more people are waking up to what's going on. And I said it up there. It's not about the rule of law anymore. It's the rule of Don. He's picking and choosing, deciding which court decisions he agrees with. He's quite literally running an extortion racket. And not just with universities like UCLA and others in California, but he's doing it with law firms. He's doing it with media organizations. He's doing it with some of the most well-heeled and powerful corporate leaders.
Y'all might be saying, Jack, is a little heavy on the Gavin Newsom praise. And you know what? I don't know. I just think this is the guy who's showing us how to get it done right now. I just do. I think Gavin Newsom took a big swing. The first poll that came out on Prop 50 had it up sitting about 38%. Governors, former governors, Arnold Schwarzenegger was coming out against it. It was an uphill battle. And he took it to Trump. And now we have 5 seats to show for it. I think that this just needs to be the framework, to be unafraid and to be very direct in why this fight is so important. And then to galvanize so many in the independent media. Gavin Newsom came on this show. I'm sure all of the political content that y'all watch, all the creators, he came on their platforms, raised over $40 million to make sure Prop 50 passed. Got Elizabeth Warren involved, Jasmine Crockett involved, Barack Obama involved. And then he didn't go, okay, great, good for me. He immediately went to Texas. Like, he's taking it all over. That's what we got to do. Like, and Chuck Schumer's not going to do that. So we need the people who will. And we need to encourage those who step up. I'm certainly going to. We're going to talk about it on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.